Hello, welcome to Lenten Moments on Saturday, March 23rd. Today's gospel is the famous story of the prodigal son. To be honest with you, I think probably I've quoted this story almost as much as any other story in the Gospels, because every time someone comes to confession, anytime anybody is coming back to the Lord, my mind goes to the prodigal son. And the misery of his situation is matched by, on the other side, by the joy of the Father to receive him. He's left everything. He had everything with his father. He wasted his inheritance on a life of perdition, of women, of prostitution, of drinking, and his supposed friends departed from him, and he was left with nothing. He goes to hire himself out at a farm, feeding the pigs, and then a famine strikes that area, and he's so hungry, says he wants to eat the food that they're spitting out of their mouths. He's fallen so far. He's hit what we usually call hitting bottom. And so he decides he has no place to come, and so he decides to come back to his father. But he says, I'm not worthy anymore to be a son. I will be a slave or a servant. But it says the father's like out in the road looking. And it's as if to say, like the father's out there every day. Is today the day my son is coming back? Will he be here today? It's almost as if the anticipation of the father and the sorrow of the father is emphasized by the fact that when he sees his son, he runs to him. He runs to him. And instead of giving him a piece of his mind, which he has every right to do, he embraces him, he kisses him, he puts a ring on his finger, a new vestment, the sandals on his feet, and he says to the servants to kill the fatted calf. They want to have a feast. Because as he tells the older son, your brother was lost and has been found. He was dead and has come back to life. That's where the gospel finishes today, but if you read along a little further, Jesus interprets this gospel, this passage, to his disciples, and he says, in heaven, there's more joy among the saints when one sinner comes back repentant than 99 righteous people who don't have to repent. That's why you never have to have fear of your darkness, of your sin, of your mistakes. Don't be afraid to run back into the Father's arms, especially in the sacrament of confession, and hand over your sadness, your darkness, your misery to God, and He will embrace you. He will lift you up and restore you, and the angels in heaven will rejoice. May you consider this Lent coming back to God through the sacrament of confession and receiving the joy of the Father. Hoy escuchamos la historia del hijo pródigo. Y entre todos los parábolas en el Evangelio, creo yo voy a eso más frecuente de cualquier otro, porque cada vez cuando alguien viene a mí para confesar o para desahogarse de algo de su pasado, yo pienso en el hijo pródigo, que aunque él tenía todo, él quisiera más. Él pidió su herencia de su papá temprano. Él fue para gastarlo en prostitución, en fiestas, en borracheras y todo. Él se quedó con nada. Y en esta miseria, él fue a visitar una finca para trabajar como alimentando los cerdos, como un trabajador en un campo. Pero un día, una miseria vino a esta tierra y casi no era comida. Él tuvo un hambre tan fuerte, quisiera comer la comida que los cerdos botaron afuera de sus bocas. Él decidió, yo he caído demasiado a fondo, tengo que volver a mi padre, pero no soy digno de volver como hijo, voy a volver como esclavo, como sirviente. Pero su miseria es comparable a la alegría del padre. Para ver su hijo, no se quedó en su tierra, se fue corriendo en la calle a encontrar a su hijo, no para regañarlo, sino para abrazarlo y besarlo. En él se puso un anillo, una nueva vestidura, nuevos sandales, y él celebró con una fiesta. Y eso es donde terminó el Evangelio de hoy. Pero si usted sigue leyendo, usted va a escuchar las palabras de Jesús que dice, en el cielo, cuando un pecador regresa arrepentido, hay más alabanza de 99 justos que no tienen que arrepentirse. Por eso quiero decirles, ustedes escuchando, no tienes miedo de su pecado, de su miseria. Venga con confianza a Jesús y recibe el abrazo del Padre Celestial. Y confiésate, arrepiéntete. Jesús recibirá a ti con alegría y los ángeles se alaban a Dios por su regreso. Bendito sea Dios.